You were never just an option. You were always worthy of being a priority. The problem was never with you, it was with the way he saw you. He kept you at arm's length, giving you just enough to keep you around, but never enough to make you feel secure. Maybe he made promises that never quite turned into actions. Or maybe he only showed up when it was convenient for him. And for a while you accepted it, hoping that one day he'd see what he had right in front of him. But let's be real. Deep down, you knew you deserved more. You knew that love isn't about waiting for someone to wake up and realize your worth. Love isn't about being an afterthought or a backup plan. It's about being chosen every single day without hesitation. The moment you recognize that, everything changes. Because the second you stop waiting for him to see you, you start seeing yourself. That's the shift that will shake him. When you finally step back, when you stop answering the calls, when you stop making excuses for his half efforts, he'll feel it. Not immediately, but slowly, like an emptiness creeping in. Because here's the thing about people who take others for granted. They only realize what they had once it's gone. And by then, it's too late. At first, he might not believe it. He might think it's just another one of those times where you'll come back, where you'll pick up the pieces and forgive without question. But this time is different. This time, you're done accepting less than you deserve. This time, you're choosing yourself. And that's when it will hit him. The absence of you. The silence where your presence used to be. He'll start to wonder why his messages go unanswered. Why your energy feels distant. And that's when the regret begins. But here's the best part. By the time he realizes, by the time he starts to question everything, you won't be looking back. You won't be waiting for an apology that should come long ago. You won't need closure from someone who had every chance to appreciate you but didn't. You'll be too busy living, growing, and stepping into the version of yourself that refuses to be treated as an option ever again. Because the real power isn't in making him regret. It's in realizing that his validation was never what you needed in the first place. It hurts, doesn't it? That feeling of giving so much of yourself to someone who never truly saw you the way you deserve to be seen. You put in the effort. You showed up. You cared. Only to be met with inconsistency, with half-hearted gestures that made you question if you were ever enough. It's the kind of pain that sits in your chest, that makes you replay moments in your mind, wondering if maybe, just maybe, you could have done something differently to make him choose you the way you chose him. But the truth is, it was never about you not being enough. It was about him not being capable of seeing your worth. Some people don't appreciate what's right in front of them because they assume it will always be there. He thought you would always wait, that you would always be there to pick up the pieces, that no matter how many times he put you second, you'd still be waiting for the day he finally put you first. That kind of realization stings, because when you love someone, when you care about them deeply, you want to believe they'll eventually recognize how much you bring to their life. You want to believe that if you just love them enough, if you just hold on a little longer, they'll wake up and see you the way you see them. But love doesn't work like that. You shouldn't have to prove your worth to someone. You shouldn't have to beg for the bare minimum, for attention, for effort, for the simple respect of being treated like a priority. The pain of being overlooked can break you if you let it. It can make you feel small, invisible, unimportant. But that pain can also be your greatest teacher. It shows you exactly where you need to draw the line, where you need to stop accepting less than you deserve. It teaches you that the moment someone makes you feel like an option, the moment someone treats you like you're disposable, that's the moment you walk away. Not because you don't care, but because you care about yourself more. And when you do, when you finally choose to remove yourself from a situation that made you question your own worth, the shift begins. The absence of your presence, the silence of your energy, will speak louder than any words ever could, and one day he will sit with the weight of his own choices. But by then, you will be far beyond the pain he once caused, standing in the strength of someone who now knows their own worth. There comes a moment when everything shifts, when the chasing stops, when the endless waiting fades, when you finally realize that the person you've been holding on to so tightly was never really holding on to you. It's not an easy moment. It's the kind of realization that hits like a wave, knocking the air out of your lungs. But once the shock settles, once you take that first deep breath of clarity, you see the truth for what it is. You were never the one who needed to prove your worth. He was the one who needed to earn a place in your life, and he failed. And now the roles are reversing. The moment you decide to stop showing up, the moment you stop giving your time, your energy, your love so freely, that's when he will feel the difference. Because people who take others for granted never realize the value of what they had until it's no longer within reach. He was comfortable. He thought you would always be there, always waiting, always willing to give just one more chance, but not this time. At first, he might not even notice. He might assume this is just another phase, that you'll come back like you always did. Maybe he even tests the waters, sends a message, throws out a casual, "I miss you," to see if you'll take the bait. But your silence, your distance, will say more than any words ever could. He will start to wonder. He will start to feel that shift, the absence of your energy, the quiet where your presence used to be. And slowly it will sink in. Because here's the thing, when someone realizes they are no longer a priority in your life, it forces them to question their own importance. He will feel what it's like to be an option, to wonder if you still think about him, to second guess whether he ever really had a hold on you at all. You don't have to play games. You don't have to seek revenge. You simply step back and let him feel the loss of what he once had. You let him sit in the regret of knowing he had something real, something rare, and he let it slip through his fingers. And by the time he realizes what he lost, by the time he truly understands what you brought into his life, you'll be too far gone to care. The best revenge isn't anger, and it isn't trying to make him jealous. It isn't sending long messages explaining everything he did wrong, or waiting for an apology that may never come. The best revenge is growth. It's becoming someone so strong, so confident, so at peace with yourself that his absence feels like nothing more than a stepping stone on your journey. You don't have to prove anything to him. The moment you shift your focus from trying to make him see your worth to actually living in your worth, that's when everything changes. Because the truth is, the person who once made you feel like an option should no longer have any power over how you see yourself. You were never the problem. The way he treated you was a reflection of him, not you. And now you get to take all that energy you wasted trying to earn his love and pour it into yourself. It starts small. Maybe it's waking up one morning and realizing you no longer feel the urge to check your phone, hoping for a message that never comes. Maybe it's looking in the mirror and seeing someone who is finally ready to put themselves first. Maybe it's throwing yourself into your goals, your passions, your dreams, the things that truly make you happy. without worrying about whether he approves or notices. And here's the irony. The more you focus on yourself, the more he will start to notice. The moment you stop chasing is the moment he starts wondering why. When you start thriving without him, when you start glowing with confidence and self-love, that's when it hits him. He lost something real. And there is nothing more powerful than knowing that his regret is now just background noise in a life you've built without him. But this isn't about him anymore. It's about you. It's about the version of yourself that refuses to settle for half-hearted love. It's about the person you're becoming, the one who demands more, who expects more, and who will never again allow themselves to be treated as an afterthought. And when he finally realizes what he lost, when he finally understands that you were the best thing that ever happened to him, you won't need to say a word. Your life, your happiness, your growth, that will speak for itself. At first, he won't notice, but he'll go about his life thinking you'll always be there, that your absence is temporary, that eventually you'll reach out like you always did. But time has a way of revealing the truth, and slowly, reality will start to settle in. The messages he once ignored won't be there anymore. The calls he used to take for granted won't come. The version of you that bent over backward to accommodate him, to love him despite his neglect, to make excuses for his behavior, that version is gone. And that's when it will hit him. One day he'll find himself scrolling through old messages, trying to remember the last conversation you had, wondering when exactly you stopped caring. Maybe he'll see a picture of you looking happier than ever, surrounded by people who appreciate you, and he'll feel a pang of something he can't quite explain. Maybe he'll go to type out a message only to stop because for the first time he realizes he no longer has the same access to you that he once did. That's the thing about regret. It creeps in slowly, but when it arrives, it's relentless. He'll start to wonder what went wrong, where he lost you, why he didn't see your worth when he had the chance. And the most painful part, he'll realize that there is no way to fix it. Because by then you'll be too far ahead. You'll have outgrown the version of yourself that accepted less than you deserved. You'll be too busy living, too busy thriving, too busy loving yourself in a way that he never could. The pain he made you feel, he'll feel it now. The uncertainty, the longing, the realization that he was never as important to you as he once thought, that's his to carry now. But you won't need to acknowledge it. You won't need to entertain the I miss you texts or the sudden attempts to reconnect, because you've learned the most important lesson of all. When someone treats you like an option, they don't deserve a second chance when they finally realize you were the best choice all along. There's a moment after everything, the pain, the disappointment, the realization, when you get to decide what happens next. You could stay bitter, hold on to the resentment, and let the anger define you. You could spend your days replaying every conversation, every time he made you feel like you weren't enough, and use that as fuel to prove him wrong. But what would that really give you? The truth is, the best way to move forward isn't through revenge, and it isn't through trying to make him regret losing you. It's through choosing yourself in a way you never did before. You don't need to show him what he lost. Life will do that for you. He'll realize it on his own when he sees that you didn't break, that you didn't crumble without him. He'll feel it when he watches you step into the best version of yourself, not because of him, but in spite of him. But by the time he understands, by the time the weight of his choices finally catches up to him, you'll be so far ahead that his regret will mean nothing. Because this was never about him, it was always about you. About the way you allowed yourself to settle for less. About the way you gave so much of your heart to someone who never fully held it with care. And now it's about the way you're taking that heart back, piece by piece, and rebuilding it stronger than ever. You're choosing power over bitterness, peace over chaos, self-respect over desperation. The right person will never make you feel like an option. They will never make you question where you stand or force you to beg for the love and effort that should have been given freely. And that's the lesson you walk away with. Not that he finally sees what he lost, but that you finally see what you gained. A new version of yourself, one that refuses to accept anything less than being truly, completely, and unapologetically valued.